Hello, I am Coach Ricardo Miller, and we're back with another incredible conversation. I love what I get to do on a daily basis. I've been coining this statement creating a life you don't need to take a vacation from. I am talking today with a lady who has a passion and a joy to inspire people. Welcome back to Effective Living, Elizabeth McCoy. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing excellent. Let's talk, Elizabeth. We've done this a few times now. Tell people where you're located. You are where in the country? Are you in Dallas Fort Worth area, Texas? Are you in Waco? Are you in New York? Are you in Chicago? Tell us a little bit about where Beth is located right now.
Well, I moved to Texas from Kansas and originally was in Waco for, um, I guess it would have been 6 years, 5 or 6 years. And then I moved up to Dallas area after I got married, and I'm currently living in the Coppell area, so right in the
Nice.
DFW.
Excellent. Beth, the last time we spoke, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't watched our talk before, you have to go to Beth's social media pages. You can find our talk. This is an amazing lady, and I'm loving how God is having her to establish her story to help so many people. Elizabeth, Beth, and you talk about inspires. Elizabeth McCoy inspires. Why? Well, where did that come from? What brought about that?
Just through all my difficulties and struggles, it would have helped me so much if I would have been able to speak to someone who was going through what I was going through when I was going through it. I
Yeah.
didn't have that. I was lost so much of the time. I really struggled. Some days I didn't want to be living. Thought that it would be better if I hadn't survived. Um, but God was always that voice in my heart saying, I have a plan for you, keep going.
Yeah.
And I always knew that that plan was for me to be able to help those that He placed in my path who
Yeah.
were struggling and having some of the same difficulties that I had experienced and overcome. So I just kept going each day in prayer and thanking God for my life and asking Him to lead me and help me to make the right choices so that I could do His will for my life. And I'm just so very blessed at all of the doors He has opened and continues to open to keep me going down that path so that I can help others.
Yes. Well, you mentioned that that you at some point you almost felt like I don't know why I should have lived. What happened? For those who may have not heard before, something happened early on in your life that changed everything about you and has brought you to this place where you now can help others. But what actually happened? Tell us a little bit about the experience that changed your life.
22 years ago, I was severely injured in a car accident, um, suffering a traumatic brain injury that affected me just like a stroke. When I came out of my coma, I basically had to learn how to walk, talk, and do everything again. So many days, it would be so hard to get out of bed, keep going. Just it was a long road to recovery, and I just had to keep pushing each day. Early on, it was fairly easy because I was in the hospital, I was in the rehab, and that's what we were doing. I would fatigue and want to go back to bed oftentimes, but uh, when I was in the rehab, I was making gains. When I got back into school, it was a weekend of my freshman year of high school. When I got back into school, that's when the real challenges seemed to appear.
Wow. Wow. So is it safe to say that there were challenges all along the way?
Yes, challenges all along the way, but I didn't really clue into them fully until I got back into school and my
Okay.
life. And then I realized how different my life was.
Yeah.
Um, so,
Yeah, and because I heard you say that because the whole dynamics of one Beth McCoy before Beth McCoy, what was your name before marriage?
Megs.
Mate. So Beth goes back to school, and Beth's no longer the girl that Beth was before. Tell us a little bit about how and what that experience was, because you became accustomed to learning how to survive uh, prior to going to school, and you were working through some things, but then you had to go back into a space that was familiar, but it wasn't familiar because it was familiar, but it wasn't familiar because again, you're a different person. What was that like?
Very, very difficult. I get back into school, and all of my friends' lives went on. They were still playing the sports they loved. They were going out on the weekends. They had jobs. Uh, Getting back into schoolwork was much more of a challenge for me.
Okay.
So all of my free time seemed like it was working on homework, trying to get me caught up from missing almost the entire first full semester of high school. Um, just and the people that I would come in contact with that would see something physically wrong with me who didn't know me or know of the accident,
Yeah.
feeling like they were judging me, and they didn't want to get to know the person I was on the inside.
Yeah.
That was very challenging, just feeling alone and isolated.
Beth, I know you to be a fighter. Your mom knows you to be a fighter. Your husband knows you to be a fighter. You have fought your way to where you are now. Let's break down a little bit for those who are struggling to fight, because the reason why you do talks like this, the reason why you're aspiring to be that speaker nationally and internationally, because you realize there are people on their bed that eventually can get back up. But the fight to get back up is going to determine, or is going to require some determination that is literally second to none. Let's talk about your determination. What kept you? Because you went to school wasn't the same, friends weren't the same, they went on. You had to now struggle with having to learn in an environment where what you once mastered, you're having to try and learn how to do well in that area again. Determination, drive, persistence, that go get it spirit to not give up. Where did you get it from? What kept you going?
I believe that it was always inside of me. I was blessed even on the hard times that I was able to still, even the days that I said I wish I would have died, I was still, for the most part, able to remain positive and go into God in prayer at night because of His voice in my heart. I knew He had the purpose, so I would always thank Him for my life and then just ask Him to lead me. Um, on those hard times, it was that prayer. Sometimes it would be me crying myself to sleep at night, talking to God, just letting Him know my heart, trying to give Him all of my worries and prayers. The Bible says, Jeremiah 29, verse 11, what is impossible with man is possible with God. So I just knew deep down that He would be able to get me through it. Because of that voice in my heart that always just kept kind of pushing me, saying, I have a plan for you, don't give up. I was just very blessed to have that. So I want to try to be that voice for someone who is in that bad spot right now. You're having problems uh, going on, getting out of bed in the morning, every morning. I want you to know that God is strong. He can carry your burdens, He can carry your worries, and He can get you through whatever it is you're dealing with. Just try to keep your faith. If something doesn't work out right one day, you know what? Tomorrow is a brand new day. Go at it again. Try a different way. You can
Wow.
do this.
You can do it. You're hearing it right here, ladies and gentlemen, on Effective Living Conversation with Coach Ricardo Miller. I have Elizabeth McCoy joining me today. I'm going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to be right back. And here's the deal, we're going to be back. But when we get back, I want to ask Miss Elizabeth a little bit more about her journey up to this point. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back after this.
Effective Living offers life management group coaching. This is a great introductory option for those who are ready for guidance to structure your life in such a way where there is a harmonious balance between having enthusiasm for what you need to do, coupled with fulfillment of doing what you want to do. Join our group coaching program today to start creating a life you don't need to take a vacation from. More information about our group coaching program can be found at www.ricardomiller.com.
Welcome back to Effective Living with Coach Ricardo Miller. Today we're having an exciting conversation with Elizabeth McCoy. She is a motivational speaker. She's a transformational coach. She is a woman who is committed to helping those who found themselves falling on their back and wondering if they will ever be able to get back up. Well, here's the deal. You can get back up. You will get back up. There comes a time in your life where you just got to declare, I'm a fighter. I'm a survivor. Nothing's going to take me out. As a matter of fact, your mere existence is an indication that God still has a plan for your life. And so, Elizabeth, you talked about an accident that changed your life. You talked about having gone to school and people looking at you and wondering what's going on with her, when the truth of the matter is they did not take the time to even get to know you, to hear of your story, What do you say to somebody who life has hit them so hard that they're hurting and nobody understands? What do you say? Because you were there, you were hurting, and very few could understand what was going on with you. What do you say to that person who's watching us today, who's struggling, but the truth is you made it? They can make it too, but they don't know that. What do you say?
Try to think about the positive. What are the good things? Every day before you go to bed, think in your mind about the positive things that happened today. Sure, you may have been thrown a curveball and something bad happened, but try to think about and concentrate on the positive things. And then those curveballs that come, use those for areas for you to grow. Use those for growth opportunities so that you can continue. Each day is a new day for you to be better than you were yesterday. So many times on the hard days, I wanted to give up, but you do have a purpose. You may still be trying to figure that purpose out. I didn't always know what my purpose was. Prayer and meditation and spending time with God is what helped me to be able to get to where I am today. Continuing to walk in faith and trusting Him and just asking Him to lead me and make the right choices. I wasn't always able to hear His voice. Sometimes it would be, I would be thrown a curveball, but then a day or two later, a door would open to an opportunity that I just never expected. And I knew that, okay, this is God. I am still headed down the right path to where He needs and wants me to be. I got to walk through this door trusting Him with faith. Don't let fear hold you back. Fear is false evidence appearing real. So don't let that fear hold you back. Ask God to give you the strength and to help you to walk through those doors and help you to make those choices that are hard. You can do this.
Wow, that's the key word right there. You can do this. Elizabeth, you did it. You did it. Now, a lot of people, for those of you that are watching, Elizabeth, when she was a teenager, had a life altering accident that changed her life forever. And you know, Elizabeth, there are people who are complaining today. They're complaining for a number of little reasons that you and I know. Even as you're a professional, you know that there are people right now struggling to get up. There are people who are having to go through therapy to have to do things that they used to do but can do, but now having to learn to do it again. We have so much to be grateful for. Elizabeth, you mentioned having went to school, popular kid, doing well in school, then having to go back to school only to be felt like, okay, okay, people are looking at me weird. Okay, my friends aren't really my friends like they were. And so then you went on, you moved from school and you pushed on to college. Man, you pushed on to college and you got your degree. What is your degree? And tell us what made you kept going when you could have easily made the excuse to say, you know what, after high school, that was rough enough. One, I want to know, what did you do? What did you get your degree in? And what kept you going when it came to continual education?
Well, I actually went to school for 8 years before I finally graduated with my associate's degree in occupational therapy. Uh, 8 years of college, changed my major 4 times. I just always knew that there was something out there for me that would allow me to be able to help those going through what I was going through. I first started out with a rehab counseling degree, thinking that I could work with traumatic brain injury. But then, as I continued into that program, I realized that that wasn't for me. Continued to change my major, applied to a PTA program, didn't get accepted. But then a month before the occupational therapy assistant program uh, application was due, I found out that Washburn University in Topeka, Kansas was launching a new program. So I thought, well, I'm just going to give it a shot. I was accepted. After I got through all of the coursework, went on to my clinicals, I saw right there that I was where I was supposed to be. When I would walk into a patient's room who had suffered a stroke after I graduated, they would tell me that they couldn't do this. They weren't going to be able to go on. And the fact that I could sit across from them and tell them my story gave them hope and inspired them and empowered them to keep going. On the day I would discharge them home, they'd give me a hug and say, I couldn't have gotten through this without you. Thank you.
Wow.
I'm just so blessed that God never failed me. Even though I had opportunities, everyone has free will. You can make your own choices. It may take longer if you are not sure and not sure about making the right choices, but everything is in His time, and His time is always so much better than our own.
Wow. Beth, let's talk back. You mentioned your experience, and you mentioned the fact that when you share your experience with others, there are people who are like, oh, I don't know if I could have made it without you. Because you went through, you are now helping others to go through and navigate life's greatest challenges, because life sends us what we used earlier, the term curveball. Unexpected situations happens every single day. Every single day. And there is life after an accident. But let's talk about, I wrote down this question. What are three of the most difficult things you had to deal with during your recovery process? Because recovery, the whole term means to try to get back up, just to get back in the game. What was, to you, the most challenging, the most difficult thing in your recovery process, you would say?
Having to relearn how to do things independently. My left side was affected, so my left side wasn't working the best. I have increased muscle tone in my left arm, so pulling my pants up and down, I was using my right arm for a long time until I got my arm working better and I could learn new ways to use my left hand better. just your everyday tasks, walking.
Yeah.
I was driving before the accident. That took a bit of a curveball or a long road. I took me some time to get back to where I could get back to driving. Had to go through a driving test so that I
Yeah.
could actually drive by myself. Um, that was difficult because I wasn't able to drive myself to school. My mom was taking me to school. My brother and my grandma would pick me up and take me to therapy after school every day of the week for my freshman and sophomore year. Just not being able to be the independent teenager that I once thought I was going to be prior to the accident. That was difficult, along with all of the other things.
Beth, you mentioned a few things, and I don't know, there are so many people that are watching us who would find themselves saying, I can't do this. Because if you once knew how to drive, now you can't drive. I once knew how to walk, I can't walk. I once knew how to talk, I can't talk. I once knew how to master certain subjects in the classroom, and now I'm in the classroom, I'm having difficulty with this. But you kept pushing through it. That is why Elizabeth McCoy Inspires exists. Because, Beth, there are so many people like you uh, having gone through challenges, but they need to know they can get back up and get in the game. Let's talk a little bit about. I have two questions and we're going to be done. Let's talk about those moments when you felt as though I can't do this. What shook those off? Because clearly we were talking the other day and you were like, hey, I'm driving out of town. I'm like, okay, you're driving out of town. Well, there was a time you couldn't drive, but now you're driving out of town. You know, you're like, hey, I'm a speaker. I'm in Toastmasters. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. You're an inspiration. You're an amazing woman. But what kept you going when you have those moments that simply say, I can't do this? Because you have about at least 20 things that you had to overcome that others would say, I'm just going to do with the wheelchair. I'm just going to I'm going to let my mom drive me for the rest of my life. I'm not going back to school. I'm not going back to school. I'm not going to do it. But you did. What was that?
Uh, the perseverance.
Yeah.
I just knew I had to get back to doing everything that I could for myself. Again, the voice in my heart saying, I have a plan for you. So even on those hard times when I was wanting to give up, I would pray to God silently, okay, Lord, help me if I'm supposed to get through this. Help me, show me the way. Um, it's always going to go back to God and
Yeah.
prayer and
Yeah.
the Bible because He is the one reason why I'm still chugging along and I'm still going.
Yeah.
His constant faith and not letting me give up.
Nice. Nice. Ladies and gentlemen, Elizabeth McCoy, we're talking about a resilient spirit. We're talking about a determined woman. We're talking about somebody who has committed her life to serving humanity. She's decided, you know what? Not only did I make it back from some of the most challenging situations or circumstances one can go through, but I'm going to go ahead and extend the reach to help someone else. Elizabeth, how can people follow you? Tell them a little bit about what you have going on. You're an entrepreneur. You got a bunch of amazing things God is working through you to bring about to bless people. Tell them a little bit about your services, what you do, and how people can follow you.
Well, I was very blessed 3 years ago to come across some products that are natural solutions to meeting your health goals. They have helped me in ways that I never thought that I would see any relief from. So I am a holistic health coach with Hope for Natural Health. You can find me on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn with Hope for Natural Health. You can find me on Twitter and Facebook for Elizabeth McCoy Inspires. And then you can find my channel on YouTube, Hope for Natural Health, and it's going to be a combination of health solutions as well as inspirational videos.
Nice. Hey, listen, contact Elizabeth McCoy today. Now, here's the deal. The woman is setting up her company, her organization to do two things. Make money because it's a part of what we do as highly productive people on the earth. And then another thing is she's establishing an entity where she can go forward and help other people be inspired, motivated, and take themselves up after lift themselves up, take themselves up, get the necessary help to thrive in whatever God has called them to do. So follow Elizabeth McCoy on all social media platforms. Effective Living is delighted to be able to walk along with Miss Elizabeth in this season as she's doing what God's called her to do. Elizabeth, it's always a joy to sit down and talk with you. Any final thoughts you want to give to our viewing audience?
I'd just like to reiterate, whatever you're going through right now, life is throwing you a curveball. Keep going. Don't give up. Just keep pushing. Like I said, if plan A doesn't work, there's 25 more letters in the alphabet. Try a different way. You can do this. If it's your dream, if it's your goal, it's worth doing. It may have some challenges, but take those challenges as areas for you to grow so that you can become who you're truly meant to be and make the life that you dream of having. Thank you, Ricardo.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. Thank you, everyone. If you're watching this for the very first time, go ahead and subscribe to both Elizabeth's YouTube channel, my YouTube channel. Follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all over the place. You know what I like about what I see with your platform, Elizabeth? You're like chipping away, establishing this platform, and God is bringing increase to it every day. And you know, someone is going to say a couple of years from now, she just popped up out of nowhere. Who she thinks she is. If they only knew the work that you put in to become or becoming who you are becoming. So God bless you. Let's just keep chupping along, both you and I and everybody else who is inspired to do something to bless humanity. Have a great day, Elizabeth.
Thank you. You too.